What's up, everybody? So I have a new product that has been kind of hard for people to get in their hands in the shop. We're going to load it into a printer and run some tests, but first let me show you what it is. That's right, I got some of the HT-PLA from Polymaker. I'm going to go ahead and get it loaded up on my Prusa Mark IV and run a couple test prints because I have an idea of what you might be able to do with this filament that could be a total game changer for people, especially people like me who make a lot of props and have to do a lot of sanding. And with the material properties of the HT-PLA, my hopes are that you can sand it like ABS or ASA with power sanding or hand sanding because of its high heat temperature resistance. That's actually what gives ASA and ABS its, material properties that allow you to really lay into it with power sanding or hand sanding or anything like that. So hopefully we have the best of both worlds here, which would be the easy printability of PLA, but paired with that easy sandability of ABS and ASA. So I'm gonna get something on the printer, take it off, and I'll walk you guys through the whole process. So here's the hoping. This is my first time messing with this stuff. I haven't done anything with it, so I have high hopes, high expectations, but I'm taking you guys along for the ride. So let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm on printables.com and I'm just gonna try to find a Pokeball. I want something with a rounded dome that isn't gonna, eat up a ton of filament. Found a pretty good model. Probably only going to print, let's print the top. And I'm gonna open it in printables and see what we can get cooking. So there's the model. You can see, hopefully you can see all the voxels on it. Add some supports, slice it. Okay, keep that middle support there just for shits and gigs. And we'll send it off to our printer. First layers are going down. See this thing in an hour. And we'll take it outside and start sanding it. Okay, so I have the test pieces printed. This one is the Polymaker HT-PLA. And for control, because I know how well it sands, we have some Polymaker ASA. They're both the same model, just these little Pokeball domes. I figured they'd be pretty easy to, show the sanding process, I guess you could say. But we're here to see how well this one takes heat and if it sands similar to the ASA. So I'm gonna sand the ASA down first. We're gonna be using a DA sander and some 80 grit paper, and I'll use a fresh sheet for each one so we can compare and contrast without any 3D print gunk stuck on the paper. I have a bunch of this stuff, so it's not that big of a deal, but we're gonna slap some of this on our DA sander, put our PPE on, and see what happens. Okay, I'm actually impressed. First off, let's talk about the sandpaper. So I just use these Gator 80 grit sandpaper discs for my DA or orbital sander. If you look at this, there's not a lot of dust on here. And I mean, I know this is a small part. I didn't do like a giant helmet or something, but being that you can kind of just knock that off of there, it really did nothing to the sandpaper. The sandpaper did all the work to the print, which I'm going to show you here in a second. But if you've sanded PLA, PLA Plus, or whatever before in the past, you know that it gums up sandpaper horribly. It's one of the #1 reasons why I try to suggest people towards ASA or PETG, especially in today's climate with all these enclosed printers that you can buy, which makes printing that stuff so much easier. But there's nothing like printing PLA. It's so easy. It's just like, you know, easy bake oven, set it and forget it, come back, boom, beautiful print. Once again, especially thanks to the new printers that are available to people. But that's crazy. I'm super impressed with that. But here's the other thing. The surface finish, and I hope this translates on camera, like almost all the ringing that you get at the top of a domed print like this is almost gone, right? And this is the high temp PLA. This stuff behaves almost exactly like ABS and ASA does when printing. Here's the ASA part. Same deal. I did about 2 minutes of sanding total on both of these, and they look pretty freaking close to one another. I'll try to get in some better lighting and take some B-roll of these two domes so you can see them, but boy, Polymaker, you might have just unleashed one of the greatest filaments for prop and costume makers out there. I haven't been able to obviously test, like if I could put this in the car and leave it there. It's not been that hot here in Ohio. Maybe I'll take these out to LA with me and leave them in a car. Who knows, but it hasn't been that hot in Ohio, so I haven't been able to test that aspect of it, you know, seeing if it'll warp or whatever, but dude, being able to sand it, like, hold on. Yeah, I can't even feel any ridges. So I'm gonna clean these off with some alcohol, and I'm going to spray a little bit of primer on top of them just to see how far our sanding went. But so far, I am blown away by this filament. It's meeting and or exceeding my expectations. All right, so I actually don't have any filler primer in a rattle can, so we're just gonna spray some colors on it with Montana. Start with the ASA. And see how it looks. I didn't clean these very well, but you'll still get the idea. Now the HT-PLA. I actually am seriously impressed by this filament. I would go ahead and say that this might be the next best wave in 3D printing. This is the ASA one. We don't really care about this one. We're here to talk about the HT-PLA by Polymaker 3D. And this was just that coat of paint that you saw. So I just spray paint on this. I don't have any rattle can in filler primer. I didn't feel like breaking out a spray gun and mixing up a batch of 2K primer. Kind of would defeat the purpose, I think, of showing off the capabilities of this filament. Its strong suits really shine in sanding and post-processing. I mean, if you look, there's like no circular pattern left on this. And this was just a 2-minute sanding session with 80 grit. Yeah, there's still some here, and I went back in, knocked this down off camera with some 320 because it was a little bumpy from me not cleaning it off properly after sanding it because I'm an idiot. But beside the point, if you want easy to sand and easy to print all in one, I think that this is going to be the filament for you. I'm going to conduct more tests. I have two rolls left. Sorry, I was like thinking of other things. My brain, you know. But yeah, I don't really see like what the purpose would be in choosing PLA Plus or PLA or some other form of PLA, carbon fiber infused PLA, when you get the heat resistance that you get out of ABS ASA. Now that's the reason why you're able to sand this stuff so well, is because of the high thermal properties of said filament. I mean, I can probably look up the Google thing and pop it up here on screen for you, but that's the reason why you're able to lay into ABS and ASA so much better with a palm sander or any other type of mechanical sanding apparatus, is because of its high thermal properties. This stuff seems to have just about the same thermal properties as your ABS or ASA, and you don't have to print it with an enclosure, which is huge. So if you have like, you know, some bed slingers like your Cobra Maxes or, you know, Neptunes or whatever the giant printer bed slingers are from Elegoo and Anycubic, this is the ticket. I don't think that you would need an enclosure. I didn't have any warping issues whatsoever when printing this stuff. It just printed fine. Like I said, yeah, there are still some minor imperfections in this because I didn't use filler primer. Now, had I used filler primer on this, I think that I could have gotten an even better finish just from an initial sanding of the raw print and then a sand of the filler primer, which once that's set up, I usually do a 320 grit to 400, depending on it. No spot putty. You cannot feel any imperfections in the dome. And if you can see inside here where the support material was, like, you can hear that, but there's none of that on the top. Totally different sound because it's smooth from one sanding pass. This stuff is incredible. I highly suggest it to anybody. And if you're in the market for it, my affiliate link will be in the description below. And yeah, so I'm gonna be testing the crap out of this. Not even testing, I'm just gonna use it. I'm just gonna move it into rotation and see what kind of stuff we can get out of this and see how far it'll go. I'll probably be doing some more videos featuring it so you guys can see it in its totality with a finished piece instead of just, you know, test Pokemon domes. But I just wanted to get something easy out there just to show you guys why I was so interested in this filament when it was announced. And I think it was something that other people overlooked. But now you know, you have the knowledge. Get down in the description, go buy some, support Polymaker, US company, making incredible filament for your 3D printer.